Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining our new features webinar. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to hop on. Probably get started about 11:35 or so Pacific. Thanks. All right, everyone. I think we can go ahead and get started. I think we've got everyone on the call that's going to join. Just to let you guys know, everyone's going to be muted for the duration of the webinar. If you have any questions throughout, you can either put them in the chat and I can cover them during the call, or I'll answer them. We'll have a few minutes at the end to answer any questions you guys have. I'll be the only one with my camera on for those that had the question, just so, we have everyone here and everyone's muted, or you can just go through everything and answer questions kind of as we go. So first off, happy 420. I know this is a big day in the cannabis world. I'm not going to be able to celebrate myself until after work, obviously. And as most of you probably know, we will be sending swag to the first 10 attendees. And it looks like everyone on the call is going to be receiving swag. We've got exactly 10 people on here, so that's great. So I'll send follow-ups with a link to this recording, as well as requesting information, a good shipping address, so that way you can get that swag sent out to you guys. So cool, let's go ahead and get started. I do want to go through the agenda real quick and talk through a couple things here. Yeah, good way to start the week, right? Getting swag. So what we're going to be focusing on today are some new features that are coming out or have already been released. Some of these you may have seen. We're going to go through a couple that I covered on our last webinar. A few of them are brand new, and I'm very excited to share them with you. So we're going to start by going through, we have a new partnership with this company called Parler that allows us to receive feedback from our customers a lot easier, and keep you guys updated on when that feedback is actioned upon, and then also allows us to kind of talk with you about it, get more details. So we'll cover that, kind of what that process is going to look like and what that feature looks like. Also a couple things related to inventory. So pre-filled transfer inventory, we'll go over a process that streamlines creating transfers directly from your active packages. Also some things to do with labels. So adding QR codes with lab test results to your labels, as well as printing PDFs. So instead of setting up your printer with the QZ tray, which some of you may have had issues with in the past, you can now print off custom labels using the PDF format. So for those of you that have been here before, that have been here for a while, you know that the labels we had previously, you could print to PDF. Now we've brought that to the custom labels module as well. So super excited about that. Also a couple updates related to sales orders, specifically making the sales order search a lot faster, as well as some QuickBooks updates and auto-allocating packages. We'll cover all that as well. And then the last couple things, global tag search. So that's going to make, finding a tag in Canix a lot simpler. And also some metric CSV and the kind of boring stuff, downloading metric CSVs. We'll cover that and kind of what the purpose of that feature is. All right, so like I said, we'll go ahead and I'll keep everyone muted for the duration of the call. Like I said, I'll send over follow-up emails with a link to this recording, and then I'll ask for the shipping address so we can get that swag out to you. I know that's why most of you are here, and I'm not offended by that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, as I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll try to answer them as we go, or I'll save it for the end. But cool. So the first thing I want to touch on is going to be a new feedback format. So as you may know, previously, if you wanted to submit a feature request, you'd go through just the support channel. The support team would share that with the product team, and then from there, the engineering team to put those feature requests on the roadmap. Now you can just create feedback directly from Canix, and it's going to go directly to our product team to be filtered, and actioned upon, or get further the conversation if there's any additional questions that are needed on our end. So let me show you what that looks like. So here in the bottom left corner, and you should see this on your platforms as of today, or as of this week, I should say. So here in the bottom left, you can see this feedback button, and that's going to open up a new pop-up. So in addition to being able to submit feedback and feature requests, this is also where we're going to be posting any announcements that we have. So that may include, product updates, as you can see here, maybe, webinar, new webinars that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be utilizing this to do any kind of announcements for webinars and things like that. So you can see here, gives you a little welcome thing here, and then you can see the newest announcement, and then you can see anything that's happened previously, any previous announcements there in the see what's new section. So if you want to read more about a specific announcement, so this kind of covers a lot of the things we're going to be going through today. So any information, you have the link to this recording, but you can also read more about these features in this pop-up, in this Parlor module. So we can click out of here. Whoops. And as I said, you can see those announcements. You can give us feedback, smiley face, neutral, or maybe something upsets you. Obviously, that's not good, but we want to hear about it. And you can also, as I said, you can share your thoughts about specific announcements, things like that. In addition to that, so here at the top, I can see my previous requests, or I can create a new feedback. So let me show you what it looks like to submit a feature request. So all I would do is create feedback and feature request. So pretty basic. We really just want to understand what it is that you're looking for. So the description should just be, or the title should just be, straight to the point. And in the description, you kind of give us as much information as you can. So that way we understand what the request is. And there's a messaging feature here. So if we have questions, we can respond to you and get that clarity. So as an example, let me input this that I've been thinking about lately: ability to change Canix theme. And then in the description, as I said, you just want to put as much information in there as you can. So I've already got this typed out. Let me make this go a little bit faster here. Let me copy that in here. So ability to change Canix theme, allow users to customize the theme of their platform, including colors, font, and font size. So again, a good description. And if we need more detail, we can message you directly from our side of the app and continue that conversation. So I can go ahead and submit that request. And from here, you can see a few automatic messages come up, and I can ask to request a team response. So maybe this is time sensitive, or you want to see, you have questions about it, or you want to provide more detail, and then you want to kind of start that conversation. You can always just say, I'm all set, and that's going to save that feature request, that feedback, and submit it to us. And then from here, now that we have, in this case, we have 2 requests. So I had one set up already. So as you can see, I've got that here. And I can also adjust the priorities of these requests that I have. So if something is really important, something that I'd love to get on the roadmap as soon as possible, I can move that to first priority, and then kind of adjust based on, obviously the number of pieces of feedback I have. I can adjust 1, 2, 3 by order of importance. So you can see here, this feedback I had before, I've got a message here. So this is a message. I was kind of talking to myself earlier. So you can see I sent a message from the Canix team to the feedback that I had submitted already. And then from here, as you can see, I can send another message and continue that conversation. So again, if we need more details, or if you want to provide more details, you can always open this up. These requests are going to be saved in my request section of the pop-up here. Cool. So again, if we need to, we can adjust the priorities here. So we can change this to second priority. Maybe I want to change the theme more than I want a store to be able to purchase Canix swag. And you can always, again, these requests are going to be saved in here. And we'll be able to communicate with you if we need more details, or, and keep a lookout in the announcement section to see if that feedback made it onto the roadmap. Perfect. All right. So again, you can always go back home. Your requests are going to be saved here. Always send feedback. And this is feedback, whether good or bad. We want to hear everything because, obviously, if you're not happy with something, if you want something, even if it's not a feature request or more of an enhancement or, something like that, we want to hear all about it. We want to make the software better for you guys. And whether that's fixing an existing feature or adding new ones, we want to hear about it, good or bad. All right. So that's it for the feedback section. Again, if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to put them in the chat. Let's see here. It looks like we've got a question. That's right. Yep. Austin, that's correct. So you can have, it's exactly right. So it helps us on our side, filter out feedback and feature requests from actual support issues. Yep, so that way, they can be prioritized faster, added to the roadmap. And again, it goes directly to the product team instead of filtering through support and then to the product team. So then the product team can filter out those requests and then talk through about adding them onto getting evidence, gathering evidence for requests, and then prioritizing the roadmap based on those requests. Perfect. All right. So the next thing I want to touch on is a quick thing, just prefill transfer inventory. So I'm here in my demo account under active packages. And what this feature is really used for is if you have a vertical license with multiple licenses, so whether cultivation to distribution or processing, things like that. In most cases, you don't need to you would either create a transfer from outgoing transfers, or you may create an invoice and then create a transfer. So in this case, if you have your packages already created in your inventory, so say we're in our cultivation side, all I would need to do to create the transfer is I can select the packages directly from here. So let me use these two as an example. Obviously, you can use as many as you want. And we can go to actions and then create transfer. And that's going to open up the transfer window. And we have those two packages added there, and we would input the information. So let's say Emily's dispensary, just as an example. 420, destination facility, say Emily's dispensary. Perfect. And as you can see, once we select the destination facility, this works in the same way as creating a regular transfer, right? Once you create the transfer for the first time for a customer or your own internal license, another internal license, all the information that was filled out previously is going to autofill here. So really, you would only need to input the name and then select the destination facility. So you can see that this is already a lot faster than going to outgoing transfers, creating the transfer from there. You can just do it directly from active packages. All right. The next thing I want to touch on is I'm very excited about it. So we're going to go over the ability to add lab test URLs via the QR code that shows up on the labels. So let me go back to my active packages here. So previously, as many of you know, there are QR codes that you can add to the labels. There were before, and there are currently, that were actually just QR codes for the tag number. So instead of scanning a barcode, you could scan the QR code and pull up the information in the Canix app about that product. Now you have two separate QR codes. So one can be for lab test URL. So that as an example, you may be using Confident Cannabis or a similar software or a laboratory that provides QR codes paired with their test results that you can then copy and add to, use that URL and add that to the package itself. So let me pull up my 0420 package here. So I've got some Skywalker OG bulk flower, and it's as simple as clicking into the package. And then we can click edit. Oops. Sorry, click into the package and then scroll down here and you can see the lab test URL here. So again, if you're using Confident Cannabis or a laboratory that provides that QR code, a publicly available URL, you can paste that here into the package itself. And then obviously, in addition, you can upload the COA directly to the package as you've always been able to do. So again, just having all that stuff in one place and then also having that QR code on the label is invaluable for your customers to be able to scan the QR code, pull up those lab test results directly. Perfect. And that segues us into the next feature that I want to touch on, which is the ability to print custom labels to PDF. So from our 0420 Skywalker OG, I'm going to go ahead and select print label here. And I'll show you also, as we can see here, let me pull up my package template. Perfect. And then from here, what we can do is, if you scroll down here, you can see QR code tag number or QR code lab test URL. So if there's a lab test URL attached to that package, you'll be able to print that off here and save that. Perfect. And the next thing I want to touch on is printing the custom PDF. So as I said, I'm very excited about this because this is something we had before. And it was super simple to use. You set up the label, print to PDF, save it to your computer, and then print from there. So now that we have our label set up, and then we can go to printer setup, and then we would select the print mode. So if in the mode it's currently in, this is with that QZ tray, printing to Zebras or whatever printers you're using. But with the PDF, this would include any printers that we had trouble with that were kind of unsupported, specifically like Dymos we had some issues with. Now you can print from any of those printers using this PDF format. So once I save that, then I can just format this label any way that I want. I can add in, numbers of copies, numbers of tags. So this works in the same way. I could put in, 12, and it's going to go up in sequential order and print off all the tags in that sequence with their respective pieces of data on the labels themselves. And then once I do that, I can select print. And that's going to save that PDF. As I said, just like the same process as it was before. And you can print out, you can see all those labels. I formatted them a little goofy, but you can see it's the same process. You just would print directly to whatever printer is connected to your computer. All right. Cool. So that's all the updates that I wanted to go through with the print labels. Again, I definitely encourage this PDF format is going to be available for everyone. So you can start doing that today. And it may be even something that you find is easier, even if you have a printer that works with the current printer setup. You may find it easier to do the PDF. Definitely take a few minutes to play around with it and see if it matches your workflow. All right. So the next couple of things I want to touch on are going to be in our sales orders. So I'm going to go to sales orders and active. All right. And let's go ahead and create a new sales order. So I'll go to actions and create order. So I just want to show off the kind of speed of the product search, and then also touch on auto-allocate packages, and also some of our QuickBooks Online integration updates. So I'll choose Emily's Dispensary as my customer, and let's go ahead and sell some of that Skywalker OG that I have. Oh, and one other thing I do want to point out, in our product search or in sales in general, you can now sell non-cannabis inventory. So if you have your own swag from your farm, or or let's say batteries, for instance, if you're a distributor or processor like vape batteries, you can now track those items in our non-cannabis module and have them show up here in the sales order to add them to invoices. All right, and you can see here, very simple. I'll just type in the first few letters. It pulls up all of my information, all of the search results there. So super quick. So I can go ahead and choose my Skywalker OG bulk flower. And let's update the unit of measure there. And let's also add some shatter. So I'll sell some of that as well. All right, and we'll set the delivery date, all this kind of normal stuff here. And let's do the payment terms, cash on delivery as of 4/20. And let's go ahead and create that. All right, perfect. So we've got our order created. We've got our inventory reserved for this customer. Oh, I would just notice that's very expensive shatter. Must be really good. So before I touch on the auto allocate, let me go ahead and show you the updates we've made to the QuickBooks integration. So whoever's been using that as of today, you can see here, you can download the invoice just like you could before. And let me update this to sales order 0420. And so once that invoice is created, we can now create a QuickBooks invoice from here. Oh, it looks like it disconnected me. Okay. We'll have to skip over the QuickBooks invoice. Looks like I got disconnected, but the way that it's going to work, the new features are, so instead of going into making sure that you have QuickBooks items and customers in place already, instead of going into QuickBooks and creating those items, you can create those items directly from Canix. So for those of you that have been using it already, obviously whenever you create the QuickBooks invoice, you're matching the Canix items to the existing QuickBooks items. And then that will auto-populate if you've created those orders before. Now, if you don't have an existing QuickBooks item, you can create that directly from Canix. So instead of going into QuickBooks, creating it and then refreshing Canix to pull that information in, you can just do that directly from Canix and push it to QuickBooks. And the same goes for your customers. So this is super useful, again, for adding new customers or new items, and then especially useful if you've been using Canix for a while and you now have gotten a new QuickBooks Online account. Now it's super simple to just take the items you have in Canix and your customers and submit that information directly to QuickBooks. Instead of working a lot in both platforms, you can do most of the work directly from Canix. All right. So the next thing I want to touch on, let me go ahead and jump over to the global tag search. We had a question, is non-cannabis inventory still divided by license? That's a good question. Let me make a note here and I can follow up with the team and get an answer there because I am not sure on that. And Valerie had a question about, can you look at packages by UID? So what you would do in that case, you're adding the item to the order here, and then you would need to auto-allocate, or you would allocate the packages. And that's something I was just about to go over actually. So we've got the items added to the order, and now we just need to allocate. So the way that you would do it before is you would click into add packages for each item. And then you'd select the package that you're either allocating directly or you're splitting off from. So in this case, I can select this one. I only need £1. So I'm going to pull it from this 2.18. So I would select split package, and Canix automatically creates a pending package based on the amount of the item that was added to the order. So in this case, £1. And you can see here, I have my source package. Here's going to be what's remaining after I take that £1 and create that new package. The way that you can do it now using the auto allocate is, instead of clicking into each one individually, we can utilize the auto allocate packages feature here in the top right. And what that's going to do is that same process we went through, it's just going to do it for you automatically. And this works on a first in, first out basis. So any of your earliest packages that you can split from, Canix is going to pull from that. And these packages are not created just yet. We would need to review those new packages. So this is super helpful, just to give you some context for huge orders. If you have 5 to 10 items on an order, clicking in each one and allocating kind of takes some time. So this just streamlines that process considerably. So if we click review new packages here, it gives you the details. So here's the new package number of the bulk flour and the new package number for that bulk shatter. And then you can see the remaining quantities in each of the source packages for those. So again, first in, first out, it gives you an opportunity here to review those though. And you can always update them. So I'm gonna go ahead and click back here. If I need to, I can clear the allocated packages there from that. And then I can allocate it myself. So, in some cases, if you're not trying to use the earliest package there, then you can always come in there, remove it, and update it to the one that you'd like to use. Cool. Yeah, and we had a question, what would non-cannabis inventory be? Yeah, so this is in the case of like selling the product. If you're a distributor or processor, you may have, swag or vape batteries, pre-rolls, or pre-roll papers, custom papers, things like that. There are some cases where you would sell non-cannabis inventory included on an invoice. Yeah. And that inventory, so the main thing to keep in mind there is when you're creating a transfer, the transfer is going to have strictly that non-canvas inventory, at least on the metric transfer. And then the invoice is going to have that non-canvas inventory. All right, perfect. Yeah, so again, we touched on the, so let me go ahead and save this. Let's auto-allocate this again. So again, just to recap, auto-allocate is optional. You can still do the one-by-one kind of allocating packages individually, but utilizing the auto-allocate just makes that process a lot easier. It's especially useful if you have, let's say you have just one package of a specific item. Using the auto-allocate is going to pull from that only package you have, and it still makes that process a lot easier. All right, cool. The next thing I want to touch on is our global tag search. So this is something that's been out for a little while, for a couple weeks, but I do want to point it out because it is a very cool feature. So for those of you that haven't seen it, the way that this works is the search in general is that you can go to a specific module. So if you want to look at all your plants, you can go to active plant batches. You would type that in here, right? If you just want to go to vegetative plants, you can enter that here. In addition, what we've added recently is the ability to search for specific tag numbers. So if I type in 0420, I can find the exact plant tag or package tag that I'm looking for, and it's going to take me directly to the screen that's in. So I can go to tag, and it's going to bring me to my active packages and pull up that package for me. So this is especially useful. Obviously there's tons of tags. It's hard to keep track sometimes. Are they allocated? Are they unallocated packages, right? Are these plants in vegetative? Are they in flowering? What does Canix know about where this plant is, where this tag is? And utilizing this tag search makes it super simple to find that. So instead of navigating, again, going into plant batches, finding the plant batch, looking at the tag numbers within that batch, you've got the number in front of you, type it in the tag search, and it's going to bring you directly to where you need to be. So you can see here's our 420 package and all the details about that. All right, cool. So the last thing I want to touch on as far as new features are the metric CSV downloads. And this is super simple to cover. The way that it works is, you have your metric submissions tab. And in some cases, let me get to the screen so that way I can contextualize it a little bit more. In the metric submissions tab, as you know, it's going to send anytime that you submit something to metric, it's either going to be successful or it's going to fail for whatever reason. Sometimes there's issues on metric side with their API. So if I scroll down here to our metric submissions, and we can go to all, there's a few different statuses that will be displayed here. So failed and success. There's also created and running. So in some cases, again, if there's downtime on metric side with the API, which tends to happen, Canix is going to continually retry processes. So we're going to continue running in the background those submissions for up to 12 hours. Now, if there's a submission that you've made in Canix that's time sensitive and you don't have time to wait for metric to accept it via the API, what you can do is you would click into the submission itself. And this only applies to submissions with a status of either created or running. So you'll see an option here next to archive, which says download CSV. And that's just going to allow you to download all of whether it's updating plant batches or updating growth phases. It's going to allow you to download that CSV and then submit that directly. So go into the metric platform and submit that CSV. It's going to be formatted in the exact way that metric expects it. So again, that's strictly for if the metric API is not responding and some submission is taking a while. You can just download it directly from here and then go directly into metric and submit that. Typically just for time sensitive stuff, again, Canix is going to keep retrying it. So if there's something that doesn't necessarily need to be done right away, you can just let Canix run in the background and then eventually it will submit it, depending on if metric accepts it via the API. But again, if there's something that's time sensitive, maybe you have an order going out and you need these split packages to be submitted, then you can upload that directly to metric. Does auto-allocate just go by SKU or harvest date? So that's going to be, or package date actually. So it's going to go by the earliest package date. So it's strictly based on that package date, the earliest first in, first out. All right, cool. So that kind of covers everything, everything that I wanted to go over as far as new features that have come out or are coming out. The next thing I want to touch on is task management. And this is still in the beta phase, in the beta version. So I do want to point out that we have a beta program. For those of you that aren't part of that, we have a beta program that I can share the sign up sheet for. And that just, you have access to new features that are still in beta that you can use and then provide feedback to us to make those features better. So I do want to go through task management real quick and kind of take you guys through that. And again, for those of you that aren't part of the beta program and are interested in task management, we also have live inventory and a few other things that are going to be coming out. I'll share the sign up sheet. That was a tongue twister. So that way you can sign up and get access to these features. So for task management, super cool feature. It's going to be here, and we'll go into the calendar first. And you can see I've got a few tasks already set up here. And depending on what category it falls under is going to dictate the color that it is. So it just makes it a little bit easier to see those specific tasks, or those specific categories. So I can go ahead and create a new task. And the first thing I want to do is either create a new category. So this could be, we've got a few great examples here: packaging, cultivation, distribution, and within each of those categories, there could be multiple tasks associated with them. So for example, like maybe you would have distribution and it would be fulfill sales orders, right? That could be, maybe there's a specific day that you fulfill all of your sales orders. You take orders throughout the week, and then you fulfill everything on Thursday or Friday. So we could say that the category is distribution, the name is fulfill orders. And then location, this is going to be tied to the locations in your facility. So maybe this is, let's see if I have an inventory room in here. Yeah, let's say bulk inventory, that works. And then we can set the start date. So let's say we do that every Thursday. Perfect. And we can set the estimated duration. So let's set it to 4 hours. And let's say allocate packages to sales orders. Perfect. And then we can assign specific users. So let's see here. Let me enter this. And I can't type today. And so the assigned user, maybe it's the same person every week. We could enter that here. Maybe it's a different person every other week. So we could create that as a single task for this week and then update it next week for another task. So then from here, we can either mark it as a recurring task and then add in the frequency and then how many occurrences. So this is, if it's once a week or once every other week, whatever that looks like, you just enter in the frequency there. So let's say in this case, every 168 hours or every week. And we can say the end date. Let's just go to next month. So we're going to test out, doing fulfillment on Thursday. See how that works for a month. We've got all the tasks already set up. And then we can always come in here and adjust those later if we need to. So, and then the duration, we'll set 4 hours. Perfect. And then we can go ahead and save that. All right. And you can see here, I've now got a fulfill orders task set up, and that's assigned to myself. I can look at the month view and see those same tasks. So every Thursday, I've got those tasks to be done. And then if I click into that, so let me click into my fulfill orders task. I can add notes here, mark that as completed. Oh, it looks like I marked it as completed already. Let's go ahead and reopen that. Perfect. I can add notes in here, right? Fulfilled 6 orders, right? Or maybe add in the sales order numbers fulfilled, these sales orders, or whatever information you'd like to include when completing that task, you would include that in the notes. Perfect. And then when you complete it, it's going to ask you, how long did it take you? So, the duration should be 4 hours. I got it done in 3.5. I had a lot of coffee that day. I got done really quickly. And we can mark that as complete. Perfect. And then you can see I've got a check mark there on that one. And then if I look at my other tasks, I can see that I still need to get those done. Perfect. So again, as you can see, the calendar view, super useful to see kind of everything on a day-by-day basis. You can also view things as a list. So instead of having it split up into that calendar view, you can see it as a list. And you can see, all these ordering categories with these specific tasks. And then I can click into each of them from here and make those same changes. I can edit the task, change the assignee, right? Add any notes in there that I want to, tons of information that you can include there. And again, the idea here is that this is a shared calendar that your employees would come in here, go to the calendar and see exactly what needs to be done day to day. Perfect. And we can also click into, on the other side here, into text. And again, this is just another list view of all the tasks that need to be completed. And then you can kind of click in and see all the information there in more of a grid view to see, and you can also download that. If you want to keep a list of all those tasks that are assigned, you can download that list here. All right. So we've got about 10, 15 minutes left. That's everything I wanted to cover today. And just to recap by going through the Parley feedback here in the bottom left, that's something you guys can start utilizing today. And back for, again, feature requests, right? Or enhancements, things like that. Any information that you want to share with the product team to, make the product better or something, make your life better, make your life easier, in that feedback, we want to hear about it. In addition, we went through, pre-filling the transfer inventory, the lab test URLs. So again, those QR code or those URLs that you receive from your laboratory or softwares like Confident Cannabis, include that URL directly on the package. So that way your customers can scan that and see those, in case they don't want to open their email, right, and see the COA that was sent. They can just copy that URL or scan that QR code and pull up those results directly from their phone. And then printing labels to PDF, we covered that. So the same format that we had previously, you can now do that with the custom labels. Again, I was very excited about that. Labels, I love labels, especially when you can customize them. There's tons of ability there to customize them however you want. And this process just makes printing them off that much easier. Cool. And then we touched on, the non-cannabis inventory on sales orders now, auto-allocating packages, and then the QuickBooks Online updates. Apologies again for not having that connected. But again, just creating items directly from Canix to sync to QuickBooks, and then same for customers. So if you're either new to QuickBooks or you don't want to have to add a customer in QuickBooks and an item in QuickBooks and then go through the process in Canix, just do it all in one fell swoop, utilizing that update in Canix to create the item and then create the customer in sync. Cool. And then global tag search, the last thing we touched on. So just searching for tag numbers anywhere in the platform directly from that tag search field. And I do want to reiterate too, it's not only for tag search, it's for, if you want to get to your sales orders quickly or your vegetative plants or flowering plants, you can type that in and it'll take you directly there. There's quite a few, sub modules and sub modules, so that search makes that a little bit easier to navigate. Perfect. And then the metric CSV downloads and then the task management. So again, I want to thank you all for hopping on today. And I'll be following up to get those shipping addresses so that way we can get your swag out to you. And let me check the chat real quick. Looks like we have a couple of questions. Yep, someone had a question about the COA code. Austin, looks like you had a question about COA code. What do you mean there? Thanks, Valerie. I'm excited about the updates too. Here, Austin, I'm just going to go ahead and unmute you here. That way you can ask your question. It might be a little bit easier.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, yeah, my question was just about the codes in labels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in print labels right now, and I've got the QR code
Yep.
checkbox selected, but I don't see any changes or pop-ups or anything that's happening. So I'm just wondering where would I go to enter that?
Did you already enter it? So if you go to active packages and then you click on the package itself, there's a field. Let me show you here. Instead of just talking through it, let me show you on the webinar. You just go to your active package, you find the package, and then there's a field in there for custom QR code URL, I think it's called. Let me pull it up here. So if we click into the package, oh, we don't even have to click edit. Let me cancel that. And then we scroll down here, you just add it to that lab test URL field. Do you see that there? So this URL should come from the lab. They should give you a link in addition to that PDF copy. And then once you have that on the package, then it should show up on the label.
So if I get like a source package back from the lab that says that it passed, can I then associate the COA with that package, and then any subsequent child packages that come from that source get that same QR code, or do I need to update it with each package that I put in?
Good question. That I'm not sure of. Let me make a note here to follow up with the team. Well, QR code. Good question. Yep. I'll follow up with the team and then include that in my follow-up to you, Austin, included when I'm getting the shipping address from you. I would assume that's the case, but I don't want to assume. So I'll talk with the team and see, because that's definitely important. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions before we jump off? All right. Well, in that case, again, I do want to wish you all a happy 420. And I'll send over my follow-up with a link to the recording and then get those addresses from you. And that way we can get your swag out to you. So celebrate responsibly today. Thank you guys again for joining, and reach out, use that feedback if you have any requests you want to put in, and then you know how to reach us via support. So thank you guys again for joining. Have a good day.